Yo, shout out to all the 12-year-olds in the building. What's up?
I study rap battles for a living.
Microphone that Pusha T used during the show. It had his autograph on it. That was like a really, really big Clips fan. I used to pretend I was perform all the Clips songs in my basement with the mic. And then I performed with it so much that I rubbed the autograph off. At the time, it meant the world to me, though. I'm gonna regret even telling this story. I'm gonna regret even telling this story.
Gotta ask, what do you think about Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us, getting Record of the Year?
I don't care nothing about that.
No,
that ain't got nothing to do with me. All the best to him, man.
Okay, cool.
I don't do that bullshit.
I feel you, man. I feel you.
Would you ever get in there?
No.
How much? What's the bag to get you in there?
What's the bag?
Yeah.
Who do you want? Oh, I don't even ask.
Eddie, we.
I was gonna say, who do you want me to fight?
Oh, I know who I want you to fight.
No, I wouldn't do that. If we're fighting, we'll fight at Hino's gym or something like behind closed garage doors.
Yeah.
Behind closed garage doors.
I love when artists with their teeth.
You created this massive cultural award-winning anthem out of a battle rap song.
My intent from day one was to always keep the nature of it as a sport. I think a lot of people was putting rap to the back and you didn't see that grit, you didn't see that bite anymore.
I study rap battles for a living.
Ladies and gentlegrams, before we jump into the video, I just wanted to make one thing clear. At one point, I do say that Drake is subpoenaing Roc Nation, Kendrick Lamar, etc. I want to clarify that at the beginning. The list that Drake mentions all these names at, it's basically part of a required court document called Initial Discourses. Everyone in a lawsuit has to give the judge and the other side that they're suing, aka UMG, a list of people or companies who A, might have important info about the case, and B, people or companies they might use later to help prove their side. So what Drake is doing here is not necessarily subpoenaing them yet. He's just letting the judge and UMG know who might have useful information in case he wants to subpoena them later, use their testimony, or bring them up during the lawsuit. It doesn't mean he's officially taking action against them right now. It's just that they're on his radar and possibly connected to the case. It gets insane because this list is crazy long. Everything from companies like the NFL, YouTube, Roc Nation, Apple, to people connected to Kendrick like Kendrick himself, Dave Free, Anthony Soleil, PG Lang, the company. Anyone who's basically touched Not Like Us at some point. He's basically saying here, here's a list of everyone who might know something important about what UMG did that I'm suing them for, and I'm not demanding anything from these people yet, but they might have information I can use, and later I might decide to subpoena them or even get them to testify. Just wanted to correct that. Drop a like, subscribe. Love you guys. With that being said, enjoy the video.
I study rap battles for a living.
Ladies and gentlegrams, just as I splendidly started my Quentin Miller video script, Sandra's suing Sexy Red stunt double son started to slip, subpoenaing every artist and music establishment, basking in the fact the judge allowed him to attack the record label he studies rap battles at.
I study rap battles for a living.
So join me as we unpack how the Toronto Tough Talker finally put the target on the tiny Tupac twins' back, adding Kendrick Lamar, Roc Nation, the NFL, and more to his lawsuit. Let's break it all down, but first hit the like and subscribe button with a little hawk too. Now, ladies and gentlegrams, Drake has been in detective mode. In the most disgusting way, the Degrassi degenerate has recently requested that UMG hands over any communication or documentation they have pertaining to any allegations about Kendrick Lamar committing assault and any communication UMG has about Kendrick Lamar, Dave Free, and Kendrick Lamar's children.
Yo, shout out to all the 12-year-olds in the building. What's up?
And if you didn't think it could get worse than that, well, it did. Because he just released 2 documents over 100 pages long where he is subpoenaing not just documents from UMG, not just Lucien Grange, the CEO of UMG, he is subpoenaing Kendrick Lamar, Roc Nation, the NFL, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Billboard, your mother, your father, your aunt, your cousin. The only one he's not subpoenaing is himself and DJ Big Mac of Akademiks.
I don't care nothing about that.
No,
That ain't got nothing to do with me. All the best to him, man.
Now, what is a subpoena? A subpoena is a legal order that forces someone to hand over documents or evidence or show up to testify in a court case.
I study
Subpoena
for a living.
If you get subpoenaed, you legally have to respond. You can't just ignore it. So in Drake's case, he's using subpoenas to try to get emails, texts, and other proof from people and companies that he thinks were involved in promoting and exploiting Not Like Us to defame him. And that includes basically the entire music industry, right? Everyone from Kendrick Lamar to Rock Nation, PG Lang, Dave Free, like everyone. Literally, no joke. We're going to review it. And essentially, just to give you guys the overall context of what we'll be breaking down here, Drake filed 2 major court documents today. Essentially, again, filing a bunch of subpoenas coming after not just Kendrick, not just UMG, but what he believes is the entire machine behind the diss track Not Like Us and its success. In the first filing, Drake lists a bunch of subpoenas that he's sending out and focuses a lot of his attention onto Josh Kaplan. We're going to understand why he's focusing his attention on this dude, but essentially this guy, Drake believes, helped secretly promote Not Like Us. And of course, in this document, again, he's also going at Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok, YouTube, the NFL, Billboard, and a lot more. He's trying to get emails, texts, documents, any proof he could to show that UMG used bots, influencers, and shady tactics to spread the track and push the damaging rumors about him. And the second document that he published explains how that same guy, Josh Kaplan, has been dodging Drake's team for weeks. They've been trying to subpoena him, they can't find him, so now they're asking the judge for permission to serve the subpoena by email or other easier ways.
I study
Not Like Us
for a living.
Now, this can lead to some insane information leaking, right? Because, again, he's suing basically damn near the entire industry on any information they have about the promotion and release and success of Not Like Us. So let's find out why this is about to get insane for La Brianna. But first, I want to take you guys back a couple months to June when DJ Akademiks went to go watch not La Brianna but Kendrick Lamar live in concert at his GNX show, and he was pressed there by Dave Free and Anthony Saleh. They were asking him why his Twitter page posts vile things about SZA, Kendrick, the entire TDE camp. But bigger than that, Akademiks exposed how Anthony Saleh, who's a key member of Kendrick's team, was telling him how Drake was going crazy, talking like a mob boss before this entire beef even kicked off. And I think it's very important to note that because, again, if you guys remember the diss tracks, Drake was begging Kendrick to drop before he did. And that's the thing that boggles my mind about this entire lawsuit the most, is how do you go from begging a rapper to engage with you in a battle, and when he does, you end up suing the record label that published the diss track? It doesn't matter what he said in it, you are begging for it to happen. But anyways, when Akademiks was at the show, he said Anthony Saleh told him that Drake was sending Anthony voice notes threatening him like a mob boss.
I have a lot of respect for, the other 2 guys that I'm constantly, up against, which is like Cole and Kendrick.
Three-headed monster.
Yeah.
Now, Anthony Saleh is someone who I believe is from Canada and who knew Drake from years ago because he used to actually work with Future. And of course, Drake and Future used to collaborate pretty heavy. Drake actually doxed Anthony on his Instagram before Kendrick released a diss track, basically just posting a picture of him saying like, we're waiting on your side to send some shots our way so we can sue. But again, when Kendrick was silent, apparently he wasn't very silent behind the scenes. Akademiks said that Anthony told him, you should have heard this guy Drake, what he was saying to Kendrick before we whooped his butt. Akademiks continued saying it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I never knew Drake was speaking to anyone. Drake has told me he's never spoken to K-Dot directly, but I didn't know if he spoke to anyone else around Kendrick. Anthony Saleh, he confirms to me, yes, Drake was sending voice notes talking crazy like he's a mob boss. That's what he says. He says Drake is saying to him, I'm gonna dun you, talking crazy, you guys are washed, you guys think you can finish me? So yeah, just remember, this is how Drake was talking before filing any lawsuit, before Kendrick even dissed him, right? But now we are a year and a half removed, and we're getting a bunch of documents from Drake, again, subpoenaing damn near the entire industry. He wants receipts. He doesn't care if you're Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar, Anthony Saleh, the mob boss is coming to the courtroom, all right?
I study
the courtroom
for a living.
So, the document starts off with a letter from one of Drake's lawyers, M. Annie Houghton Larson. Sorry for mispronouncing that name. She's writing it to the judge, and it goes like this. I'm writing this letter to support Drake's request to subpoena a guy named Joshua Delsany. Sorry again if I'm mispronouncing that name. He also goes by Josh Kaplan. As far as we know, Kaplan doesn't have a lawyer representing him in this case. On March 24th, 2025, both Drake and UMG shared their first round of information with each other. Then, on June 2nd, 2025, Drake updated and sent a new version of his info. Both copies of Drake's information and UMG's original information that they sent each other will be available later in this document, so we're going to review that. Drake's legal team hired a company called Capital Process Services to try and deliver the subpoena to Josh Kaplan. They tried multiple times. Drake's legal team also hired a professional investigation company, Nardello & Co., to look into Kaplan's whereabouts. On July 29th, 2025, we sent an email to Kaplan and it didn't bounce back, but we never got a reply. We found 2 public lawsuits involving Kaplan currently. We also tried calling a phone number listed on one of those legal documents. No one picked up and the voicemail didn't say who it belonged to. Even after trying to reach Kaplan in several ways over more than 2 months and spending thousands of dollars trying to find him, we still haven't been able to get the subpoena to him. Up until now, Kaplan hasn't contacted us at all about the subpoena. We also don't know where he works. And this is where things get crazy, alright? Exhibit 1 is where Drake lists over 30 people and companies who he believes have important information about the grand conspiracy to defame his name with Not Like Us. So let's dive into it.
I study rap battles for a living.
So basically, this is an updated list that Drake put together of people and companies with relevant information to the case. But before he lists them off, the Courthouse Karen lets you know a couple things. Number 1, the information in this list is based off of what Drake and his team know right now. He can change or add to this list later if he finds out more information. Just because Drake is sharing this info right now, it doesn't mean he's giving up any rights to argue things in court later on. He still keeps all his rights to challenge things or defend himself later, and essentially this is like a disclaimer saying that like by naming these people he's not admitting anything, he's not locking himself into a final position, he still plans to challenge or defend things as he needs to later on. So we're going to name off everyone that Drake lists over here, and essentially what he does is he puts their name, their job title, their contact information, and what kind of information they have that actually relates to the case, aka why are they even mentioned within this lawsuit. So stick with me here because the list gets long. First, Drake names himself. He's involved in all parts of the case, as is UMG, the second name on this list. They're involved in all parts of the case. Then he names Ramon Alvarez Smichael. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that name. He's the EVP, head of digital marketing over at Interscope, and he's accused of using covert tactics to promote the defamatory material. The defamatory material being the Not Like Us song, the cover art, and the music video. The next person on this list, Kojo Mine Asomo. Sorry for mispronouncing that name. That's a guy who works directly with Kendrick Lamar right now, but he's been working across the industry for a long time. DJ Big Mac of Akademiks knew him. He actually got Akademiks tickets to Kendrick's Mr. Morale on the Big Stepper show years ago. He allegedly was also trying to invite influencers, reactors out to the Not Like Us music video when they shot it. He allegedly was the one behind the whitelisting of the song when reactors were able to react to it without actually being copyrighted for their videos. This is all alleged, but what's not alleged is that Kojo was an industry vet. He's been marketing within the industry for years now, and apparently now he only works exclusively with Kendrick. So in this lawsuit, Drake has allegedly already spent $75,000 trying to subpoena him. It's unknown whether he has actually subpoenaed Kojo as of right now, but he's on this list of people who Drake feels is important to the case. And as to why he's important to the case, Drake lists him basically being another individual who used covert tactics to promote the defamatory material, aka Not Like Us. What's interesting is they don't actually list his title when they list his name. And a lot of these guys, they will list their title and why they're kind of relevant to the case. Kojo, he has no title according to Drake. So they continue on this list. Jordan Bell, he's the urban influencer and content marketing for Interscope. And him, just like Kojo, just like Ramon, he used covert tactics to promote Not Like Us. Basically means secretive, under the table, potentially illegal marketing activities to spread the content, to spread the song. Next up to bat, we got Steve Birdman, president of marketing over at Interscopes, and he's involved in all parts of the case, not just responsible for marketing the song. Then we got Anthony Butcher, aka Tony the Hitmaker. He's also accused of using secret or covert marketing tactics to spread Not Like Us. Then we got Tiffany Bullock, the senior manager, influencer, and content marketing over at Interscope. She was not accused by Drake of using covert tactics to promote Not Like Us, but instead she's just responsible for marketing Not Like Us. Then we got Laura A. Carter. She's responsible for using secret or covert tactics to promote Not Like Us. There's no exact title for her. Then we got Jesse Collins, and in brackets it just says Rock Nation. This is the first Rock Nation name you see dropped here, and in the notes section it just says defendants licensing and performance of the defamatory material at the 2025 Super Bowl. So basically, Jesse, whether it's a she or he, I'm not sure, helped license and perform the harmful content at the 2025 Super Bowl. Then we got Vincenza Cotticchio, sorry for mispronouncing that name. He or she is a video and creative content commissioner over at Interscope, and they have knowledge relating to the defamatory material, aka Not Like Us. Then we got Bill Evans, who's Interscope EVP of Urban Promotion. Bill is involved in every aspect of this lawsuit. Then we got David Isaac Friley, also involved in all aspects of the lawsuit. Then we got Jody Gerson, who is CEO of UPMG, a division of UMG. Jody's also accused of using covert tactics to promote, Not Like Us. Covert basically means shady tactics. Then we got the CEO of UMG, Lucien Grange. He is involved in every aspect of this lawsuit, according to Drake. They need information on Lucien pertaining to every aspect of the case. Same thing with the next person, Jeffrey Harrelson. No title on that guy, but he's involved in the whole lawsuit. John Janik as well, the CEO of Interscope. Then you got David Kafer, who's the VP, head of music and audiobooks business at Spotify USA. So here's where we get a Spotify representative being mentioned in the lawsuit. There's a lot of them. Drake wants information on all of them. His role is essentially promotion and licensing of Not Like Us, use of covert tactics to promote Not Like Us, metrics related to the publication of Not Like Us on streaming music platforms. Basically, he helped promote and license Not Like Us. He used secret tactics to promote Not Like Us, and he knows about different streaming metrics, like how songs streamed on Spotify. Then we got the main star of the show, Josh Kaplan, aka Joshua Delceni. He, according to what I could find online, and we'll see later in this document, Drake talking about him further because they've been trying to subpoena him. What's available online is that he is an attorney who provides legal services covering entertainment and sports, business, corporate, intellectual property, and immigration. And they think he's somehow tied allegedly to using, again, covert tactics to promote Not Like Us. So he's an entertainment lawyer essentially, and Drake, I guess, here is accusing him of knowing something behind allegedly some shady business dealings in how they illegally promoted Not Like Us on streaming platforms. You also have Andrew Cronfield, UMG's EVP marketing, who also is accused of the same thing. Annie Lee, the CEO of Interscope, who's also accused of covert tactics to promote Not Like Us. Because again, if you guys didn't know, Kendrick is signed under Interscope. So Drake is basically accusing the entirety of Interscope working together to get this song heard by billions of people in illegal ways, essentially. Then you got Avery Littman, who's president of Republic Records. He's related to all aspects of the case, but he's actually the head of the label that Drake is signed to. Republic Records is a division under UMG, the same one that Drake is under. Again, these are not people who Drake is necessarily subpoenaing yet, but he's like, these are important people who, if I want to subpoena later on, I'm just letting the judge know, like, these are the list of individuals or companies who could be involved in what I'm suing for. You also have the CEO of Republic Records, Monte Littman. You have Fatima Mahadi, who's the marketing coordinator over at Interscope. Fatima was responsible for marketing Not Like Us. Lane Mankoff, who doesn't have a position listed in this lawsuit, they're responsible for covert tactics to promote Not Like Us. Same thing with Gary Morella. Then you got Greg Morella, who I'm guessing is related to Gary, and that's the president of promotion and EVP over at Capitol Music Group, another record label under UMG. They're involved in all aspects of this case. I'm going to save you guys the boredom. We'll just list off, the people you guys care to hear about, as well as some different individuals, not by name, but just by the titles of what they actually do at these record labels. So you have the CFO of UMG, the chief financial officer. You have the senior manager of digital marketing over at Interscope, who is again involved in marketing Not Like Us, not necessarily through covert tactics. So what I believe Drake is trying to do here is essentially put the pieces together on who is involved directly in Kendrick's team, like PG Lang and the people who surround Kendrick, who promote Kendrick directly. And then Kendrick is signed to Interscope, which is a label under UMG. Interscope, he's essentially accusing the people there, the higher ups there, of just being involved in the marketing of Not Like Us, so basically greenlighting any action plans that Kendrick's team has to get the song to higher levels. And then it's Kendrick's team, the people who are involved directly with Kendrick, like the Kojos, the Anthony Soleils. That's who Drake is accusing of using the covert tactics to promote Not Like Us, as well as some of the people who work at Spotify and a lot more. Let's keep going on. The chief digital officer of UMG, the president and chief operating officer of Republic, that's the record label that Drake is signed to. Then you have here Anthony Soleil, that's the guy who Akademiks spoke to at the GNX show, who had told Ak that Drake was talking to him like a mob boss before the beef actually even started, before Kendrick sent out a diss track. He's responsible for he's involved in all parts of this case. They could potentially subpoena him, and Anthony had claimed to Akademiks that the federal government had already subpoenaed his phone. You also got Mark Siepersod, who's the director of analytics over at Interscope. You got Nicole Wiskorko, sorry again, I'm probably butchering that name. She is the president / head of urban A&R over at Interscope. And under notes for her, it just says defendants' agreements with Kendrick Lamar Duckworth. So they help make agreements with Kendrick Lamar. This gets interesting. Stick with me. So here we have a huge list of just giant corporations who Drake is mentioning here. You have Amazon Music, who help promote and license Not Like Us, and they know about streaming stats. You got Apple as an entire company because they use secret marketing, the covert tactics. They know about streaming metrics. They help promote and play the song at the Super Bowl because, again, it was an Apple Music Super Bowl. You got Audiomack, who licensed Not Like Us and knows how much it was played. You got Billboard, who Drake is naming here and saying that they used covert tactics to promote Not Like Us. Complex Networks, they also use secret marketing to promote Not Like Us. Deezer, it's another streaming platform. They license the content. They know about streaming data. Fox Corporation, they licensed and played the content at the Super Bowl. They know about the viewership of the Super Bowl and they decided to play it. You got Instagram, who licensed the content. Last.fm, Napster, the Recording Academy, aka the Grammys, they took actions to feature the content at the Grammys. They changed the public video when Kendrick went to accept his award. Initially, Not Like Us was playing in the background of that video, and then a couple days later, the Grammys took out the audio of Not Like Us playing in the video when Kendrick went to accept his award. Then you have the NFL. He really mentioned the NFL in here, basically saying that they chose Kendrick Lamar to headline the show, licensed and performed Not Like Us at the Super Bowl, and they know about the viewership. You got PG Lang, who is involved in all causes of action, aka all aspects of the case. So he could potentially subpoena PG Lang if he'd like to. You got Penske Media Corporation. They apparently use covert tactics to promote Not Like Us. Then you got Rock Nation LLC. Jay-Z's company, Rock Nation, and under them it says, decision to have Kendrick Lamar Duckworth headline the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show. Defendants licensing of the defamatory material at the 25 Super Bowl halftime show. Decision to have the recording performed at the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show. Essentially saying Rock Nation chose Kendrick to perform at the Super Bowl. They helped license the song for the performance, and they allowed him to perform the song. Then you got SiriusXM, SoundCloud, Spotify, Tidal, TikTok, Twitch, UMG NV, Vivo, and YouTube. They were all involved in basically licensing the content. What that means is, of course, you need like the green light to be able to post content or music onto your platform. All of these platforms allowed Not Like Us to be licensed on their pages, on their websites or apps. So because of that, Drake is including them here to say, I can come and get information from you guys, or request to get information from you guys in the future if I want to, if I feel like this can help move my case forward. So that's the first list of names and companies that Drake is listing out here to say, like, these guys had a hand in destroying my reputation, defaming me, and I could potentially call them into court, subpoena them to give me some information that I'm looking for here. But there's a lot more to this. So Drake continues by clarifying what he'll essentially be using the information that he gathers for. All the information from Rock Nation, PG Lang, etc. What exactly is this going to be used for? How's this going to help him make his case? Well, all the documents, the digital files, the physical stuff that he has or controls or might use to help prove his case, he's going to have to list them out clearly or describe them to the judge. And again, he can update or add to this list later on. He also has to explain the type of damages that he's asking for in the lawsuit. Basically, what type of compensation if he wins? What does he actually get? He has to lay that out clearly. And later, he'll have to show the different documents or proof behind those numbers unless it's private or protected. So essentially, like, let's say he finds proof when he's digging through Roc Nation's records that, you know, they purposely put Kendrick on the Super Bowl stage to sabotage Drake. He'll have to show, look, because I found this proof, this is what I want in return for those, you know, illegal practices that they used. And Drake says that the harm that he experienced with Not Like Us is still happening to this day, and that he might ask for even more types of money or ways to compensate the damages later on. It's too early to give exact numbers right now because they still need to look into it more and get more experts involved. Once the evidence is gathered and Drake's experts look at it, he'll give UMG a full breakdown of the damages. And that's a question we've all been asking for a while, right? What does Drake actually stand to gain, or what does he want to gain from this lawsuit? We found out through a letter to the judge from Lucy and Grange, the head of UMG, that they own a significant portion of Drake's publishing in his music catalog right now. For me, this clarified the fact that Drake was on the tail end of a contract, a $400 million contract that he signed with them, I believe, in around 2022, right? He was up for renegotiation in 2025, and that's why he accuses them of, you know, doing this whole scheme where they're trying to destroy his reputation with Not Like Us, so that when he comes back around to try to buy back his catalog or renegotiate and sign a new contract with them, they could offer him less money because now his brand is at a lower level. So that's why he's suing them for defamation. With a catalog that big that earns that much money, you're going to want to fight for whatever you could in order to get it back. But what Drake is saying here is that Not Like Us is still tarnishing his reputation today. So when it comes around to actually getting in front of a judge and seeing if Drake has a case here to make, he might have an even bigger case by then because Not Like Us, the success of it, is still going on. Now, in terms of what Drake is actually asking for from UMG if he wins, there's a couple different aspects to what he's suing for, right? Number one, the biggest claim is the defamation claim. Drake accuses UMG of publicly saying false and harmful things about him or publishing information that says harmful things about him, aka publishing Not Like Us. With that claim, Drake doesn't need to prove that he lost money from Not Like Us, which UMG published, and that's because the statements in Not Like Us were so harmful on face value that if he could prove it was defamation, then the law automatically assumes that damages were done. And he's asking for different types of compensation, depending on the outcome of the lawsuit. It could be nominal damages, that's like a small amount of money to recognize that what happened was wrong, even without UMG showing big financial loss, or compensatory damages, which is money to pay for real harm or losses that Drake experienced. You also have punitive damages, that's extra money meant to punish UMG for doing something seriously wrong. Attorney fees or court costs, that's basically to cover what Drake had to spend on his legal team. Or interest, any extra money added on top, calculated from the time that Not Like Us was released up until the money that UMG will owe him if they lose this legal battle is actually paid. There could be interest on top of that. So Drake is basically trying to cover his basis and ask for all types of damages allowed under law, including general damages for things like reputation harm or stress, actual damages like real measurable losses, consequential damages, that's like indirect effects. So like if he lost a brand deal because of UMG publishing this song, and special damages, specific, unique financial harm. So again, he hasn't said exactly how much money or what he wants from UMG just yet. Experts are going to look at everything and give it amount during the trial. If it even goes to trial, the judge hasn't ruled out dropping this case completely yet. But defamation is just one of three things that Drake is suing for. It's defamation. There's also the harassment claim, claiming that he was harassed by the actions of UMG publishing this song. And for that, Drake is asking for the same type of compensation if he wins the lawsuit. And then you also have the third thing that Drake is suing for, which is the deceptive business practices, aka UMG used shady or misleading business methods to promote the song, right? The bots, the payola, all that stuff. And for that claim, Drake would want, if he wins, statutory damages. That's money that the law automatically allows for this type of wrongdoing. There's also actual damages. That's real losses caused by UMG's actions. So in his lawsuit, he had said, you know, for every time that Kendrick's song gets spun on the radio, Drake loses the ability to have that slot for one of his own songs being spun on the radio. So he can come in and say, you know, because of that, I lost $300,000 worth of, you know, radio spins or whatever the case is, and ask for that money from UMG. Now, in this, they also included an exhibit or a document where basically UMG shares a list of people, companies, or information that they might use to help their case later on. They're doing this before the discovery phase of the case. That's the next phase of the case if it doesn't get dismissed, where basically both Drake and UMG will have to exchange the evidence that they have based on what we know right now. Now, their list is interesting because it includes every single name on their list is also on Drake's list of potentially people that he wants information from, but theirs is a little bit shorter. So they also have Gary Kelly, Ramon Alvarez, Bill Evans, Greg Morella, Jim Ropo, David Kafer, Drake himself, Kendrick Lamar, and Anthony Saleh. Now here's where it gets interesting. They also list different types of documents or files that they might use, UMG might use to help their case later on. And that is contracts and documents about UMG's relationship with Drake. So this lawsuit really might open up a lot of details about the financial ins and outs of how Drake has been maneuvering with UMG over the last few years. How much of his music they own, what percentages they take, do they own part of his touring revenue, like what incentives would they have to keep Drake around, what incentives would they have to defame him and sabotage his reputation, etc. They're also saying they might use, and they definitely will, all songs released during the Drake and Kendrick feud, including how they were distributed and promoted. Because again, some of them were just released on Instagram, some of them were on SoundCloud, some of them were on actual streaming platforms where the record labels were able to eat off them. They also want to use, in their defense of the lawsuit, a petition called Art on Trial, Protect Black Art. This petition was included in their earlier motion to dismiss, where they requested that the lawsuit just get tossed out, because Drake actually signed this petition, which essentially is aiming to help protect song lyrics from being used in a court of law. Drake signed that, and now he's suing over lyrics. They also want other Drake songs and related documents. And here's the interesting one: news and documents about Drake's behavior or relationships with minors, the criminal case and conviction of Baka Not Nice, because Baka, of course, was in the Not Like Us lyrics. Baka got a weird case, why is he around? And the rap feud between Drake and Kendrick. They also might use a sworn statement from David Kafer, who again is the head of music and audiobooks business at Spotify. Because again, of course, Drake is accusing UMG of using bots on Spotify to inflate the streams of Not Like Us. But what's really interesting here is how they might leverage any rumors, any articles about Drake and minors in the past. They want to show that these were rumors long before Not Like Us ever came out, and because Drake willingly participated in this rap battle, which he studies for a living, all bets were off for whatever horrible allegations both sides were going to throw at each other, and Kendrick's weren't baseless. It was hyperbole in his lyrics related to rumors that already existed. And then we get into the next exhibit, which is basically just the subpoena that Drake's legal team had sent to Joshua Delsani, aka Josh Kaplan. Again, this is the main guy who we don't necessarily know exactly what involvement he had in promoting Not Like Us, to what capacity he works with UMG. We know that he's an entertainment lawyer, allegedly, and Drake believes he was involved in promoting Not Like Us. They also think he might have info about how the song and the video were published online, whether UMG, Kendrick, or their teams paid for fake promotion, like bots, playlists, payola, etc., or used UMG's money to boost the streams or downloads. Drake is also asking for any communications that Josh had with UMG or Kendrick's team, especially about deleting posts, destroying evidence, or spreading serious rumors about Drake. He's also being asked to turn over all related documents, social media activity, and contact info with UMG and Kendrick's team from 2020 until now. And in the next document that Drake has filed to the judge, his team gives a bit more information on who Josh Kaplan is and how many times they've actually tried to subpoena him to get information out of him. So in this document, they emphasize that Drake thinks Josh has important information about everything that UMG did to spread false, harmful claims about Drake through Not Like Us, and the ways that they secretly paid people to stream and promote the diss song. Specifically, they think Josh was involved in whether UMG paid people or used bots to boost the diss track online or spread it using streamers and podcasters, aka the whole whitelisting thing where they removed copyright so that reactors can actually play the song in their videos without having to take it down or give all the profits of their videos to UMG. Josh Kaplan, they say in this letter, is close to two big UMG executives, Ramon Alvarez Smikle, Interscope's head of digital marketing, and John Janik, Interscope CEO. Again, Interscope being the record label that Kendrick was signed under. Drake already tried to officially serve Kaplan a subpoena, asking for 8 specific categories of documents related to UMG's use of bots, payola, and other hidden promotional tactics, but again, he hasn't been able to find him. He spent thousands of dollars trying to find him at 6 different addresses across Florida and New Jersey. And this is what they found. In his Miami apartment, they knocked multiple times. They got no answer. His apartment staff confirmed that Josh Kaplan lived there but moved out earlier than expected. His landlord even sued him for not paying rent, but the case was dropped when Josh moved out. Then they went to Josh's brother's place and no one answered. The staff later said that the brother had also moved out the year before. Then they went to his business address, or at least an address that his business was registered to, but it seemed to either be fake or a closed business. No one at nearby businesses had heard of him or his company. Then they went to his dad's old house. They tried several times to get an answer, but later found out the address was outdated. Then they went to his mom's house. They tried 4 times. No one answered and no signs of anyone inside. Then they went to his dad's current apartment, tried 3 times, heard noise inside, but no one answered. Couldn't get inside the building on their last attempt. So they tried 6 times knocking on his family's door to try and get this guy subpoenaed. Drake doesn't think that Josh has a lawyer and hasn't seen him respond to other lawsuits that he's been involved in. And he's asking for the court's permission to try alternative methods to make sure Kaplan sees the subpoena. Either mail it to his parents' addresses, tape it to the front doors of those addresses, email it to him, text it to his phone number, call him, leave a voicemail saying that he's been served. Basically doing everything they could to get this guy in court. Why this guy in question is the one that Drake thinks has all the information relating to whether or not UMG used bots on Not Like Us, etc. Well, again, he works closely with the higher-ups at Interscope, allegedly, and he's damn near untraceable at this point. They did the same thing to Kojo, who again works closely with Kendrick's team. I'm not sure if they actually ended up subpoenaing him, but he's someone who's not directly involved with Interscope, but instead involved with PG Lang. So all in all, this is just absolute insanity, right? Like, these are 40 plus names of different entities, different people who Drake potentially will subpoena for this case. He's already spent thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to get people involved in Interscope's hierarchy to hand over these documents. He wants Kendrick's contracts, any information UMG has about allegations relating to Kendrick abusing anybody, Kendrick's kids, day free. This entire thing is about to get very messy, and all the while, allegedly Drake is also in the outs with the owner of Kick, who I believe also owns Stake, the gambling company that Drake has been pushing like crazy over the last few years. I could do a video on that, but it just seems like the entire empire is crumbling, right? Everyone who Drake has partnered up with for these massive deals is now either turning against him or he's turning against them. It's getting to the point where he's suing and asking for basically everyone in the industry, from Rock Nation to the NFL to Apple to Kendrick and his team, to potentially hand over information in this case. A lot is going to get exposed, and the judge hasn't even made a final decision on whether or not this case is going to move forward yet, and Drake is already demanding all this information. So stick around, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you in the next one.
I study rap battles for a living.